And so hello again everyone. We have tackled about the life of Rizal in UST. Now we are going to discuss about his first journey to Europe. Rizal's departure to Spain was kept secret to avoid detections by the Spain authorities and the friars. He used the name Jose Mercado, which he obtained a passport from his cousin. He left on the vessel Salvadora on May 3, 1882, and on May 8, 1882, Rizal had a stopover for 2 days at Singapore. On May 11, 1882, Rizal was on board to another steamer, Gemna, a French steamer bound to Spain. The ship made some stopovers in Point Gal, Colombo of Ceylon, now known as Sri Lanka, Cape of Gordafin in Africa, Suez Canal, and finally they docked at the French harbor Marseille on June 11, 1882. And on June 15, 1882, he boarded the train to Barcelona. His arrival to Spain was on June 16, 1882. Rizal's life in Universidad Central de Madrid. He wrote some articles for the Diaryong Tagalog, some of which are Amor Patrio or The Love of Country, which was published under his pen name Laong Laan. Basilio Teodoro was a friend of Rizal in Manila, which is also the publisher of Diaryong Tagalog. Los Viajes or Travels was Rizal's second article for Diaryong Tagalog. Rizal left Barcelona in the fall of 1882 to Madrid. Rizal in Madrid, he first enrolled to Universidad Central de Madrid in November 3, 1882, which he took 2 courses, mainly the medicine and philosophy and letters. He also studied painting and sculpture in Academy of Fine Arts of San Fernando. He budgeted his money and time and never wasted a peseta. Rizal spent his leisure time reading and writing at his boarding house, attending the reunions of Filipino students at the house of Paterno brothers, Antonio, Maximo, and Pedro, and also practicing fencing and shooting at the gymnasium. He also joined a society of Círculo Hispano-Filipino or the Hispano-Philippine Circle, which is a society between Spaniards and Filipinos, and he also made a poem requested by the members of the society entitled Me Piden Versos, or They Asked Me for Verses. And he also personally declaimed the poem during the New Year's Eve reception of the Madrid Filipinos in the evening of December 31, 1882. He spent his first vacation to Paris, France in 1883. Rizal went to Paris, France for his first summer vacation. It is also known as the gay capital of France. The prices of almost everything were too high for Rizal's budget, so he stated in his family or the letter for his family that Paris is the costliest capital in Europe. Rizal sojourned in Paris in June 17 up to August 20, 1883. He stayed at Hotel de Paris, but later moved to a cheaper hotel on 124 Rue de Run, and on March 1883, Rizal joined the Masonic lodge called Acacia in Madrid, which is a masonry. A masonry is a anti-friar movement, and his Masonic name was de Masalang. And later on, he transferred to Lodge Solidaridad in Madrid and became Master Mason on November 15, 1890. On February 15, 1892, Rizal was awarded the diploma of Master Mason by Le Grand Orient de France in Paris. His only Masonic writing was The Science, Virtue, and Labor, which is a lecture he also delivered in 1889 at the Lodge Soledad, Madrid. Rizal and other Filipino students, together with other foreign students, participated in the bloody riots that erupted at Central University. It was due to Dr. Miguel Morayta's proclamation of freedom of science and teacher during the opening ceremonies of the academic year in 1884. The university rector who sided with the students was forced to resign. On June 24, 1884, RIZAL'S broke and unable to eat breakfast because of the failure of the crops happening in Calamba. Rizal attended his class despite of being unable to eat breakfast and participated in the contest in Greek language and won the gold medal. In the evening of June 25, 1884, a banquet was sponsored by the Filipino community and Rizal joined the banquet. Rizal completed his courses in Spain in June 21, 1884. He completed his medical course. He was also conferred the degree of licentiate in medicine by the Universidad Central de Madrid. The next academic year, 1884 to 1885, Rizal studied and passed all the subjects leading to the degree of Doctor of Medicine. However, he was not awarded his diploma in doctors because he was not able to comply to the requirement to submit a thesis, nor he have able to pay the needed fees. On June 19, 1885, on his 24th birthday, Rizal was also awarded the degree of licentiate in philosophy and letters by Universidad Central de Madrid with the rating of excellent or sobresaliente. Although despite accomplishing these courses, Rizal doubted that the friars or the Dominicans will employ him or appoint him to be a professor at the University of Santo Tomas. Rizal went from Paris to Berlin in order to specialize in ophthalmology. In November 1885, Rizal was living in Paris where he sojourned for about 4 months, and he was an assistant for Dr. Louis de Weckert from 1852 to 1906, a leading French ophthalmologist, and he was an assistant to him from November 1885 to February 1886. Rizal spent many happy hours at Juan Luna's studio where Rizal helped Luna by posing as a model in several paintings. Some of the paintings where Rizal modeled was The Death of Cleopatra. He posed as an Egyptian priest, and another painting was The Blood Compact where he posed as Sikatuna. On February 1, 1886, Rizal reluctantly left Paris for Germany. He arrived in Heidelberg on February 3, 1886, which is a historic city in Germany, famous for its old university and romantic surroundings. He worked under Dr. Otto Becker, a distinguished German ophthalmologist, and also Dr. Karl Ulmer was a kind Protestant pastor where Rizal lived. Also, Rizal wrote his first letter in German that addressed to Professor Blumentritt, which is a director of the Ateneo of Leitmeritz, Austria, in June 31, 1886, which Rizal improved his German language during his stay at the Ulmer's home. On August 9, 1886, Rizal left Heidelberg and was boarded to a train to Leipzig. Rizal arrived in although Rizal left Leipzig for Dresden where he met Dr. Adolf Meyer, and also in the morning of November 1, 1886, Rizal left Dresden by train, reaching Berlin in the evening. Rizal met for the first time Dr. Fyodor Hagor, the author of a book he admired during his study days in the travels of the Philippines. He also worked in Dr. Ernest Schweiger, a famous German ophthalmologist. Rizal lived in Berlin for 5 reasons. First is to gain further knowledge of ophthalmology. Second, to further his studies of science and languages. Third is to observe the economic and political conditions of the German nation. Fourth to associate with famous German scientists and scholars, and fifth, to publish his novel Noli Me Tangere. Rizal's darkest winter was the bleak winter of 1886. Rizal was flat broke as no money came from Calamba due to the failure of their crops and the rising tension between the Spaniards. The diamond ring which his sister Saturnina gave him was placed in a pawn shop. But after all, Maximo Viola, Rizal's friend from Bulacan, lent him the money he needed to be able to publish his novel Noli Me Tangere, naming him as the savior of Noli. Berliner Bruche de Carré Action Gesellschaft is a printing shop which charged Rizal for 300 pesos to produce 2,000 copies of the novel. And his first novel was Noli Me Tangere, which came off the press in March 21, 1887. Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin inspired Dr. Jose Rizal to prepare a novel that would depict the miseries of his people under the lash of Spanish tyrants. The title Noli Me Tangere is a Latin phrase which means touch me not. Rizal took a grand tour of Europe with his best friend Viola in 1887. On May 11, 1887, Rizal and Viola left Berlin by a train. They went to several places, including Dresden, Treschen, now called Desin, Czechoslovakia, Leitmeritz, where they met Professor Blumentritt for the first time, Prague, Vienna, Danube River, Munich, Nuremberg, the Cathedral of Ulm, which is the largest and the tallest cathedral in all Germany. From Ulm, they went to Stuttgart, Baden, and Renfall, Cascade of the Rhine. They also went to Switzerland and Italy. Rizal's first homecoming was in 1887 to 1888. Rizal was warned by his brothers, his brother-in-law and Shengoy, and other friends not to return home because of the growing tension of the Spanish caused by his novel Noli Me Tangere. Rizal, although, was determined to return to the Philippines for the following reasons. First is to operate on his mother's eye. Second, to serve his people who had long been oppressed by the Spanish tyrants. Third, to find out for himself how Noli and his other writings were affecting Filipinos and Spaniards in the Philippines. And lastly, to inquire why Leonor remained silent, which due to his Leonor's mother, because Leonor did not like Rizal, and therefore Rizal's letters was collected by her mother instead of giving them to Leonor. On July 29, 1887, Rizal wrote to his father announcing his homecoming. He said that on the 15th of July I shall embark for our country, so that from the 15th to the 30th of August we shall see each other. And therefore, Rizal left Rome by the train Marseille, a French port, which he reached without mishap. July 3, 1887, Rizal boarded the same steamer, Gemna, which brought him to Europe 5 years ago. August 3, he arrived in Manila. And on August 8, he returned to Calamba, and there he established a medical clinic which his first patient was his mother. And then Rizal opened a gymnasium for young folks where he introduced European sports. But Rizal suffered from one failure, and that is to see Leonor Rivera. And that's all. Thank you for listening.